Thank you. The first thing I want to say is that if English is not your first language, I very much appreciate it that I can speak to you in English and you'll understand me. I really appreciate that because I don't know one word of Danish, so I really appreciate that. Someone said to me, well, just a couple of days ago, they said, it seems to me that people in the United States are kind of obsessed with the concept of freedom. And what I thought to myself is, but aren't we all? I mean, isn't this the nature of the human being, to be free? And even though, of course, it's like Dylan said, Bob Dylan, are birds free from the chains of the skyway? No, of course not. We are subject to the natural laws. But the laws of man should not be used to subjugate human beings. We are free. So what I'm going to be talking about is United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. And I'm sure, unlike people in the United States, you may have heard about this global agreement. But in the United States, anyone who talks about it is considered to be and labeled a conspiracy theorist, an extremist, kind of a nut, right? And the press will malign you. In fact, up until very recently, the press denied, the United States press and the world press denied that Agenda 21 exists. But it does. It exists. And it is the blueprint. It is the action plan to inventory and control all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all means of production, all construction, all energy, all education, all information, and all human beings in the world. Inventory and control. The action plan. Okay? It's the real deal. It's a transition from representative government to governance by unelected boards and commissions. It's the erasure of jurisdictional boundaries and the loss of private property rights. And ultimately, you need to know that this, your body, is your most important private property, your body and your mind. So, ultimately, it leads to the loss of sovereignty and freedom for all of us. So, of course, you're going to be concerned about this, not just as citizens of whatever nation you live in, but as free human beings. And this, of course, is a nonpartisan issue. So United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development, was agreed to by 179 nations, including the United States and Denmark, in 1992 at the UN Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In the US, George H.W. Bush committed us to implementing sustainable development, and it's been supported by every president ever since. Bush, Clinton, Baby Bush, and Obama. This is a global plan, but it is implemented locally. So it gives the illusion of being a grassroots movement, but it is not. United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development, is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. It's the agenda for the 21st century. That's what it's called by the UN. And it's a recipe for destruction. It enables and justifies monitoring and metering and restricting our energy usage and our water usage. And you see that, of course, as smart meters. Instituting a carbon tax on industry and ultimately on us as individuals. Pulverizing our roads and destroying our dams. Instituting data collection and data sharing, information sharing in energy usage, schools, healthcare, law enforcement, and in fact, in every part of our lives that had formerly been private. Diagnosing a huge portion of our population with mental illness and drugging us. It enables the revamping of our school systems by inserting sustainable development principles into every course, from pre-kindergarten all the way to postgraduate school. So, by the way, if you're looking to the young generation to save us, you are looking at the resistance here. We must resist and work together. People are being indoctrinated in the school systems to support the principles of sustainable development. What else does it do? It enables the changing of every land use document in the world to require high-density development, high-density housing in city centers so that we can be more easily managed, controlled, and surveilled. It allows for warrantless searches and domestic surveillance. And hey, in the U.S., we are now, under the U.S. Patriot Act, we can be identified as potential enemy combatants, and we see the redefinition of torture. It allows for the loss of personal and national sovereignty in a global transfer to mega corporations. This is the erection of a corporatocracy. That's what it is. It's a global totalitarian state, and it is in progress right now. This is not something that's out there in the future, or it's not here in Denmark, or it's nothing to worry about. This is happening right now. This is what it looks like. It is incremental. That's how it works. It's no flashing lights. You're not going to see it named that very often. It's a stealth plan right out there in plain sight. And it sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but I'm not crazy. I guarantee you. So, there's an overarching political and social philosophy that goes with this plan, and it's communitarianism. All over the world, and certainly in the United States, our individual rights are paramount. Now, that doesn't mean that you can go and transgress on someone else, but it means that the individual's rights are guaranteed: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, who's going to define what the pursuit of happiness is? But this is all individuals know this for themselves, right? But under communitarianism, the individual's rights are balanced with the rights of the community. Now, there are no rights of the community, and the community itself is not delineated. You know, what is the community? If you dissent, I guarantee you, you are not the community. The community is whatever those who are in control define it as long as it is in support of those plans. So I'm going to give you an example. It's all for the common good. This is what you'll hear. It's all for the common good. So here's a way to think about this, okay? If you have your, we're going to do a visual here, okay? I'm going to take a clear pitcher of water, a clear glass of water, a glass of water. This is your individual rights, okay? Your individual rights, clear glass of water. Put it down here. Now we're going to take a glass of milk. This is a communitarian state, communitarian rights, Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, Maoist China. This is the all for the common good, okay? We're going to put that down. Now we're going to balance those rights. We're going to take a clear glass pitcher. We're going to take your individual rights and the rights of the community. We're going to balance them. We're going to pour them together. What do you have? You've got milk. You have subsumed your individual rights into the rights of the community. Undelineated, can change at any time. Okay? So, United Nations Agenda 21 is dependent on the Hegelian dialectic. And that says that a crisis is posed and a solution. A crisis comes up. Woo. And here's the solution. Okay? The balance between these becomes the new normal. Now, that's something that you may never have agreed to, that new normal, if it were not for that crisis. Okay? This is a new normal that is pressured. The acceptance of it is pressured because you have this crisis. So in the case of Agenda 21, we've got two major crises that enable its full implementation. What's the first one? Global warming, right? Global warming, climate change. Yeah, it's serious. The planet's in danger. The sea levels are rising. Life forms are threatened. And it's our fault. I'll give you an example of this culture of emergency that we're living in. This comes out of the lousy newspaper in my area. It says, it's hard to deny that the Earth is functioning well over capacity. Like an overworked horse, it's simply a matter of time before the global organism collapses. Ooh, feel that. I'm scared. Ooh, our selfish, wasteful, greedy ways have almost destroyed the planet. But what are you going to do? Well, here comes the UN to the rescue, right? They're going to save the planet. 1987, the World Commission on Environment and Development, the Brundtland Commission, they came up with a book. It's called Our Common Future. And it defined sustainable development. That was, now everybody thinks they know. You can go around, man on the street, interview, ask people what's sustainable development. They all, it's cool, man. We're going to live in balance with nature. All right. Okay, here's where it came up. This is sustainable development, the definition. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Hey, that sounds cool, doesn't it? I mean, who could disagree with that? Did your grandparents think, I'm going to do everything I can to screw up life for my grandkids? No, all of us want to continue to live and to make life possible for others and to conserve, our environment. This is not about that. This is why I called my book Behind the Green Mask, because this is the mask, okay? So development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Well, great. All that remained then was to say, yes, indeed, everything we're doing now does compromise the ability of future generations to meet their needs. What are we going to do about it? So the General Assembly of the United Nations said to the World Commission on Environment and Development, hey, can you come back in 5 years, in 1992, with the action plan for sustainable development? And they did. And here it is, the action plan for sustainable development, Earth Summit, Agenda 21, the United Nations Program of Action at Rio. 1992, Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, 300 pages, 40 chapters. This itself is a green mask. This itself, if you don't know how to read it and what you're looking at, you will think that it's just a document that talks about how everyone should be concerned about the planet. That is not what this is really about. In fact, the chairman, Maurice Strong, who you're going to remember, Maurice Strong, of course, had to flee to China because of the oil for food scandal. He was the chair of the World Commission on Environment and Development in 1992. And he said, what's unsustainable? The middle-class lifestyle, the middle-class suburban lifestyle, single-family residences, private vehicles, appliances, air conditioning, meat eating, tillage. Breaking the Earth's surface is unsustainable. Okay, so if you're into organic farming, if you're thinking, I'm going to go out there on a nice little piece of land and raise something, tillage is unsustainable. You need a $250,000 seed injection machine because you need to inject those seeds